Yes, sir. Everybody, welcome into the first edition of the 2022 High and Outside podcast with my boy Dante Miles. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
If you asked me about 2 months ago, this time, if I even think that we'd be playing baseball right now, I thought we'd be on vacation in Cancun or something, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, no, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely thought as the lockout started to continue on and there was going to be something that drug out into the summertime. But, thankfully they got things done and, both sides seem happy with it. So it'll be exciting to get it started.
Yes, sir. Nice new CBA done. A lot of rules that they still got to figure out, but they got them playing in time. We didn't miss Jackie Robinson Day, only got to miss a week of the season. But let me introduce you guys. We're MLBBro.com, a website covering black and brown players throughout Major League Baseball, old, new, young prospects. If it's a black or brown baseball player doing something out there,
we got it.
We got it. Covered. We'll touch on some Aaron Judge. Of course, we had J.P. Crawford signing his big deal. Shout out to him. Got married in the offseason. It's his big deal this spring. Tim Anderson back from suspension today. Even Hunter Green. So it's a lot to talk about. But, man, let's start with opening day, I should say. Big walk-offs, huge wins coming for the Diamondbacks first off against the Padres. On National Beer Day, Seth Beer hits a big walk-off home run for a Diamondbacks team that they're probably one of the most untalked about teams in baseball, and for good reason. They've had their struggles through recent years, but just a few years ago, we were talking about them as a playoff team when they had Goldschmidt.
Yeah, no, you're right, bro. It's a franchise that's definitely fallen off over the past couple of years. They've had a few rebuild attempts and nothing's really got off the ground. So, it was good for them to get start the season off on a good note.
Yes, sir. So we'll take you right here, down by one.
Fly ball, right field. It's National Beer Day. Good night, everybody.
Need me a Dos Equis after that one.
Right. It's nothing better than that. Like a walk-off home run, a 3-run homer when your team is down. So, it's one thing when it's a tie game or you hit a home run to tie the game. But a walk-off like that, bro, to take the lead and win the game.
Especially when they're disrespecting you and it's a base open, second and third, and they decided to pitch to you to get that done. Great by him. We had another walk-off on opening day, though, from a team that we're going to get into later, the Detroit Tigers, Javier Baez, against the Chicago White Sox in a game that I think White Sox fans might have been surprised that game was actually as close as it is, and the Tigers are actually for real. But A.J. Hinch is going to have those boys playing ball. Javier Baez got that, like I said, off-the-wall walk-off. Miguel Cabrera, Spencer Torkelson on the team. It's a lot to like about that Tiger team.
Yeah, no, like you said, definitely a lot of young talent in Detroit. You got Baду out there. You got adding Javier Baez, who he is a free swinger, but Javi is very clutch, and we saw him come up clutch against the White Sox. They were without Tim Anderson, who had to serve a 2-game suspension because he bumped into an official. But it was interesting, bro, and it was some controversy at first because AJ Pollock exactly. See,
his glove hits the wall. And then if the ball hits,
he played it off well, though. He played it off well.
I think that them having AJ Pollock is one of the biggest small moves of the offseason to hold down an outfield spot. He gets the job. He got the job done for the Dodgers for about the last 2 or 3 years in the playoffs. He wasn't the Mookie Betts, Seager, Max Muncy part of the team, but guys like him and Chris Taylor are main reasons why the Dodgers, they're still the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Which will help me segue into what we're talking about next offseason moves. But those two are very big pieces. But let's get into the offseason. And before we do that, let's go back. The Atlanta Braves won the World Series last year.
Yes, sir.
Do it for the city. Freddie Freeman became the hero of Atlanta, got his ring. Offseason came. The lockout came. Nobody was talking. You couldn't work your free agency. Ends up coming up as we in the lockout shortly after. The Braves signed Matt Olson to a long 8-year deal. I think it was for about $120 million. And there was some controversy leaving Freddie Freeman last week. Ronald Acuna got on his Instagram Live with a foreign reporter and basically said that he had some beef with Freeman. He tried to walk it back and say that he didn't say that, but I mean, we needed the translator, but he got him.
It was all out there, bro. And it's really unfortunate because Freddie was somebody who was the face of the franchise. Caught the last out in the World Series. Broke the curse in Atlanta because for so many years you've seen teams in Atlanta fail in those biggest moments, but he actually came through and he was amazing. Soler was the World Series MVP, but Freddie Freeman also had a great World Series, and that was actually, even though with everything that went on, that was a great cap to his Atlanta Braves career. But like you said, from an optics side, it looks bad because he was the face of the franchise. But when you look at what Anthopoulos has been able to do with that roster and getting a Matt Olson, who's I think like almost 5 years younger, and puts up similar production to a Freddie Freeman, and you add him to this young core. So with the Braves, it's more so business as usual when you just keep it moving on. I know Freddie Freeman was holding out for a particular dollar amount, and when you look at the contracts at the end of the day, I know he signed for 162 with the Dodgers, but when you look at the tax rate in California, it's 13%, as opposed to I think it's 5% here in Georgia. So instead of 22 million more, he really only got about 9 million more. So you would think that would be a number that's way too small for the Braves to just walk away from a guy like Freddie. But when you look at their core, when you look at their farm system, when you look at the way they do business, they weren't going to let anybody hold them hostage. So when Freddie and his agent were holding out for a particular dollar, they kept it moving. So, I mean, I think there will be like a sour taste in people's mouths for a minute here in Atlanta, but at the same time, this was the best time to do it. Coming off a World Series ring, you still have a great team that's going to contend for a ring this year. So you have fans that will miss Freddie, but you have more fans that are all in on the Braves. So they're not really as mad as people would think.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. And you guys, it's a whole new slew of reinforcements coming in that didn't have Acuna last year. They didn't have Ozuna last year in the outfield after his dispute. His suspension is over and lifted. So Austin Riley, Soroka's coming back. So I think that's still a deep lineup. It was a surprise to me actually seeing him leave, but we've come to see that in recent years where these like face of the franchise type guys actually move around. You're seeing it in football this offseason. You've seen it in basketball, but I mean, recently the Arenados moving to St. Louis, like we talked about earlier. Goldsmith, our next guy, who's been the face of, I guess, he's been the face of many teams. Mad Max Scherzer, he began on the Nationals last season, traded midseason in a super deal. Still don't know how it got done. Sent Trey Turner and Scherzer to the Dodgers in exchange for Josiah Gray and the catcher's name is slipping my mind right now. But what do you think the addition of Max Scherzer to the Mets is going to help him?
I mean, adding Max can only help a team. But my thing at the end of the day, the Mets spent a lot of money and they still are probably the second best team in that division. So, I mean, I'm all about Max, especially for Max getting his bread. I think the phrase these days is, average value, annual average value. So for him to get that 30+ million a year for a guy who's already won a World Series, already won multiple Cy Youngs, for him, it was just one of those icing on the cake deals. His career, he's setting his setup up for Cooperstown. Like he's already, got the resume. So now he just needs to get the bread, to secure his family. So I'm cool. I love the deal for Scherzer. It's cool for the Mets, but for me, the Mets still aren't, the team to beat in the NL East.
Yeah, and it's crazy you say that. Health is a big factor for them. They have DeGrom and Scherzer, so you could say that they have the two best pitchers in the league. Yeah. Max is the type of guy, he has his struggles, and he's been a little dinged up and a little more hittable in recent years. But when something's on the line and it's a big game, we saw last year in the playoffs, he's a guy that can't get it done. Now, I know we joke that those Mets pitchers are cursed, which it might be truly real. Ty Walker dealing with injuries. DeGrom just can't stay hurt. There's some nerves about Max Scherzer. The only person, even Kumar Rocker, a guy that was just affiliated with their organization, you found out that he had some arm issues. They had Stroman last season, and you would think that the deal that the Cubs gave Stroman, maybe the Mets could have worked out and helped more so stack that rotation, especially when you have to go against lineups such as the Phillies and the Braves, even the Marlins. We've seen Jazz Chisholm cooking up a few big hits. I want to move on to my next person, though, big Aaron Judge, who turned down big bread in order to make big bread. It was reported he got offered 7 years, $213 million. He turned that deal down. I believe he's winning upwards of near $36 million a year. That's going to make him the highest paid outfielder in the league behind Mike Trout. A deal that I think he needs to get done and that the Yankees need to get done. They should have already given him the blank check. But we've seen him last season lead the team in every offensive statistical category. The only question he had was health. I've always thought that he's been one of the best defensive playing outfielders. Just seeing some of the catches he makes, being at his height, sometimes it might not be as impressive, but he has a cannon arm. He's elite offensively. He's elite defensively. He's on the biggest market in baseball. And you have your cornerstone. If they don't have Aaron Judge, I don't know what the direction of the Yankees would be.
Yeah, and I know you said that kind of like it's a done deal. Like I think he's gonna get his money, but he might not get it in New York. I think at this point we've seen that the younger Steinbrenner isn't the OG Steinbrenner. He's not about to just give him a blank check, because in a perfect world, like you said, Aaron Judge does everything you wanted to do. He slugs, he's healthy, he plays damn near every day. He plays almost a Gold Glove anywhere in the outfield you play him. He can play center, he can play left, he can play right. He can DH if you need him now that you have the universal DH, even though they're American League team. But he's a guy who clearly should earn over $30 million a year. Like him coming to the table saying, I want that to be my annual average value. That's not a stretch. That's not something that Brian Cashman should be sitting there and like, whoa, let's talk about this. But you've seen they've been far apart on the numbers. So I agree, turning down that deal was the right decision, but he may not get that money in New York. That's because they do business different now. They're all about the analytics. It's not the old school Yankees where we're just going to buy the best guys and let's go get it. I know they went and traded for Giancarlo a few years back. You signed Garrett Cole, but this isn't the old Yankees. I know Aaron Judge is playing hardball and he will get his money, but I don't know if it'll be in the Bronx.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at some of the money that these players that, like Francisco Lindor, for instance, you see a shortstop making $35 million a year, $350 million a year, $320, $314. You see numbers like that getting thrown, and just because your position is not as premium, you're putting up just as potent numbers, and you're holding it down. There's never a problem with what you do. So I can see why Judge needs his money now. The Yankees are going to have some regrets if he ends up signing with the Dodgers like they all do when this next offseason comes up, because somehow they find out the money and they find out ways to hand blank checks. But let me move on here to another guy who he was the most coveted shortstop in baseball during this free agency period, former Houston Astro, Carlos Correa. He gets $100 million, 3 years. Opt-outs each year from the Minnesota Twins of all teams, the team that he said had no talks with him before the lockout. Really, it was the night before he was contacted, met with the team, figured it out, and they got that deal done quick. We've seen them the Twins have been contenders every season. Last season, the injury with Byron Buxton, I think, really put them out of contention. To see him just ripping the ball. That's Buxton right there. And he's hit a few big ones already this season. We saw him catch the Mariners on one yesterday. Just talk about what you think adding Carlos Correa to that team in a division that, to me, it's wide open. It's even the Kansas City Royals, maybe not the Guardians per se right now, but that's a 4-team race in that division.
No, I disagree with that. I think that division is the White Sox division to lose. I know they've had some pitching injuries early, but I think with that lineup, they'll be able to beat most of the teams in this division. I think a lot of these teams are like a year or two away. I like Kansas City a lot. Kansas City with Bobby Witt Jr. and everything he's going to do. I think that's going to be definitely a young, exciting team, as well as the Tigers. I think this division will be more competitive this season. So, like, the White Sox won't win it by double-digit games. But I think with the overall talent they have, it's their division to lose. But as far as Carlos Correa, I think with Correa, this was just an example of a guy who he didn't get the number. He wasn't seeing the numbers that he wanted to see. So you get this type of deal. And like you said, we spoke about superstars being able to, control their own destiny more so in basketball and now recently in football. But with this deal with the 2 opt-outs, now you have a guy who he can retest free agency next year. So, and they've already rumors that the Atlanta Braves will be interested in adding Carlos Correa next year. Dansby Swanson will be a free agent next year, and they'll have some money to move around with the deals that they did give out. They saved some money on Matt Olson, so that was a team that he'll be able to look at. But I think that was a really smart move, and adding him to a team like Minnesota, who for a while earlier in the offseason, like they were rebuilding, getting rid of Josh Donaldson. But now you bring in a Carlos Correa. And now, like you said, I think it'll be more of a competition, but I still think that's the White Sox division to lose. I wouldn't say it's wide open, but it will be more of a competition now that you add a guy like Carlos Correa. That can only help a team.
Man, I'm just imagining Acuna and Albies with Correa on that other side. That would
be disgusting.
That's a mean middle of the field diamond. But I want to bring in our owner, the man, the CEO, Mr. Rob Parker, to the show. What's going on, Rob?
Yo, what up, Malik, Dante? How you guys doing, man? Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Debut.
We're good, man. We're good. Getting it flowing again, high and outside. You can catch us live on Facebook every Sunday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. We'll be here every week, recapping the week. Rob, we got you in here real quick. I wanted you to give the people your World Series pick real quick. As far as we'll start with your World Series pick.
This year, it's kind of the same pick I had a year ago because it didn't happen. There was a lot of injuries and things, but I'm going back. I'm going with the Yankees and the Padres. And I know Tatis Jr. is hurt to start the season for the Padres. They got a lot of pitching. Their rotation is pretty solid, getting guys back. They were hurt a lot last year. And I like the Yankees lineup, and I think Soriano, Luis Severino, I should say, coming back for the Yankees will help. Garrett Cole at the top of your rotation. The Yankees have been in the playoffs every year. They just seem to not be able to advance and get to the World Series. It's been a long time since 2009, so I'm going outside the box, going with the Yankees, going with the Padres. I know everybody and their uncles picking the Dodgers in the NL, but yours truly is going the other way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Padres are trying to make that an official rivalry. We'll see if they can get it. The Giants also, they still have some things to say about that too. But let the people know about a few players that you're looking forward to watching this season.
Well, we saw one today, Hunter Green. I mean, the second overall pick from 2017. Quality start today. I believe he pitched 5 innings, 7 strikeouts in those 5 innings, topped out at 101. He's somebody that I want to see pitch, and I'm glad he's with the Reds and got an opportunity to be their guy, and they finally got him up to the major league, so that was exciting today. The other guy, I did a box office video to start the season, and I talked also about Giancarlo Stanton. I know he's not a new guy and has been around, but I don't know. I mean, he's got his swing going. He's healthy. He hit home runs in his first 2 games against the Red Sox this year. Had an RBI single tonight in Sunday Night Baseball. So he's off to swinging the bat great. And last year he looked like the MVP year when he was with the Marlins, the way he was swinging the bat. He's somebody I'm watching. Tristan McKenzie, also another pitcher in Cleveland. We saw some glimpses last year. I'm definitely looking at his starts. There's a couple guys I want to watch all the time. And another guy, Marcus Simeon. How does he follow up that incredible year last year, setting the record for second baseman with home runs with 45? He got the big bag, $175 million from the Rangers. The Rangers spent $100 billion, $500 million, I should say, for their middle infielders. So I want to see how he piggybacks on that great year he had in Toronto. He bet on himself, and he cashed out. So there's a lot of good players I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yes, sir. And Rob, I'm gonna let you know all the taxes that we've paid that they were paying out in Arlington. They're glad that some money finally got spent on that infield. We definitely needed it. But I appreciate you for joining us real quick. We're gonna let you go, but we'll definitely talk to you soon.
That's right. And keep doing it. Congratulations on the new show every Sunday live, Facebook Live. And I appreciate the hard work you guys do. Check them out. They got videos, they got stories, they're on social media, all good stuff. Keep it up, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Rob.
See you later, Rob. Well, now that we move on, Dante, let's talk about a few surprise teams that we're going to look forward to watching. I'll go ahead and kick off the list. I'm going to start off first with a team that we talked about before Rob joined, the Minnesota Twins. And like you said, Correa, he's a big-time talent. But now you get Correa, team with Byron Buxton, who's one of the best. I'm a WAR guy. He's one of the best WAR guys. When he's on the field, he wins. He's a 30-for-30 player, still threat. He's one of the best defenders in baseball. So I'm going to name them for one. My second team I'm going to give you is the Houston Astros. They just lose Carlos Correa, but I think they sort of shocked everybody when they did 5-6 years straight in the AL, making the ALCS. No Verlander, no notable starting pitchers named last year. They lost McCullers in the middle of the playoffs. But you look at the team now, guys like Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve is an entirely different hitter. He's not a slap hitter. Altuve is a power guy now. You see so many special plays from their outfield. Kyle Tucker and Chas McCormick, they've came up. There's some young guys who've came up, and there's some superstars, as well as Framber Valdez, who he outshined Shohei Ohtani on opening night in a season where you see pitchers go deep in playoff runs, sometimes get that arm fatigue. He was definitely a guy who Dusty had to lean on a little more. So I'm looking forward to see how he goes. My next team I'm going to name is the Milwaukee Brewers, who we got a few chances to discuss on MLBBro.com for our guy Andrew McCutchen, who is coming off a torn ACL, and he's already raking. You team him with Lorenzo Cain. They probably have the best four-man rotation in baseball, for sure the best three. You get Devin Williams, Josh Hader in the back end of that bullpen, but you feel like they just haven't had the offense. It's been a lot of strikeouts on their team through recent years. Yelich, and I'm sure Yelich not being at his best is partially plays into a part of their struggles, but I want to see who they add midseason, what type of offense they're going to get to be able to drive in more runs to help, because it doesn't matter if the pitcher holds you to run. All you need is two to beat a team like that. My final team I'm going to say is the St. Louis Cardinals, who they're on this year. It's a last dance type ceremony. Wainwright, Molina, Pujols. There's going to be a lot of flowers given out, but those guys aren't even the main course of what they have to offer you. Nolan Arenado is on fire right now to begin the season. Tyler O'Neill, he's one of the only players in baseball to homer on 3 straight opening days. He's a beast. Harrison Bader, like we say, Goldschmidt, Edmondson, they're a deep team. They're one of the best defensive teams in baseball. And just to have Albert back for the first time since they won the World Series back in the days where Big Mac Land was lit up, it's going to be fun to see that ballpark back with some juice. So give me your 4 teams you're looking forward to watching this season.
All right, my first one is I'm gonna go out to the West Coast. Seattle Mariners. You add Robbie Ray, you extend J.P. Crawford, you add Adam Frazier. You know what I'm saying, to a team that's already very exciting, and a lot of people don't know, but they have 3 of the top 25 prospects in baseball. And Julio Rodriguez ended up making opening day roster, and you have the shortstop Marte. That's an interesting one because with them extending J.P. and you trading for Adam Frazier, you wonder if he can end up being a trade piece that you use to fill another area of need. So that's a team I'm definitely looking out for to stay on the West Coast. I got the Los Angeles Angels adding Noah Syndergaard to Shohei. I really want to see what they can do because it makes no sense that you have a Shohei, you have Mike Trout. I know he was hurt last season, but you'll have a healthy Mike Trout back eventually at 100% doing everything he does. And you also added Rendon. You have players on that team. So for me, I've never understood why that team can never make the playoffs. So having a talent like that on your squad, it's time for them to make the playoffs. So I think that's a team that this year, like I said, adding Syndergaard to Shohei, taking some of the pressure off Shohei. He doesn't have to go out there. Well, he's going to go out there and dominate and do what he does because he's just a special talent. But you have another starter behind him, and then we can see what the rest of that roster ends up doing. I like Joe Madden as a manager. He's a creative guy. He always does what he needs to do. So I think that's another team that'll be exciting to watch. My third team was the Philadelphia Phillies. Adding Nick Castellanos, adding Cal Schwarber. Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. We already know what he can do and everything. Their defense won't be good, but they're going to score a lot of runs. So that's a team that they're going to get a lot of runs, a lot of home runs. So that's going to be really exciting to watch. So that's a team I think, like I said, if you have the league pass, you should definitely tap into some Phillies games because that's going to be a team that's fun to watch. And my last team in the AL Central, the Detroit Tigers. We talked about it earlier. That's going to be a really young, exciting team. Now, I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but I think that's a team that they'll be exciting. They're going to fight every day. So, it's not going to be a doormat like we're used to the Tigers being. This is going to be an exciting, young, fun team to watch.
Man, like you said, I like that Phillies pick. That's going to be a lot of bat flips. I'm actually going to name Bryce Harper one of my MVP picks that I have for this year, which we'll talk about that right now. But he's coming off a season where he chilled everybody. I'm back. I'm still that number one LeBron James. I'm still the chosen one. He got his MVP. He was off to a super hot start this spring. I think this should be a year that NL East is super competitive. And they were fighting for a while at a playoff spot as we see him crushing spring training home runs. I believe he had 7 in the spring. Definitely looking forward to see him do work this year. Another guy out of the American League that I'm going to call for MVP. And he might not get it. I think that the Rangers win total might have an effect on him. He hasn't had that MVP type season yet, but I think a guy like Corey Seager coming to the Rangers, he gives the team World Series playoff at bats. When I see Seager taking at bat, it's like he doesn't take a pitch off. He never takes an AB off. He has multiple hits in every game. In the first 3 games of the series that they played against Toronto, they got a big win today to split the series 1-2. I'm excited to see him tomorrow in Arlington. Big left-handed bat. We haven't had a shortstop like him since A-Rod. So I'm looking forward to seeing him be one of the best hitters in baseball. I think if our lineup can take a lot of what we're going to take the leadership of a Marcus Simeon, a guy who we have in our leadoff spot. We're going to take Simeon, but with the playoff experience, you guys need to watch Corey Seager and watch him work. So give me 2 people you have up for an MVP.
All right. Well, my first one, I know his team is loaded, so a lot of people think this may take votes away from him, but I think him finally healthy, I got to go with Mookie Betts. I think Mookie leading off at the top of that lineup, finally, like I said, being healthy, so he'll get back over that 500 at bats. He'll be closer in that 600 at bat range. I think you'll really get to see the Mookie Betts of old. And, he's going, even though he's in the leadoff spot, Mookie's going to get on base. But he's also going to drive in runs. And he has, multiple seasons with 20 home runs, 30 home runs. So we know what Mookie can do. So if you see Mookie in that 2020 range, batting over 300, you say, like you said, you're a WAR guy. I'm an OPS guy. You know what I'm saying? If his OPS is in that 875, 900 range, I think you can really see Mookie Betts, get that MVP. But that's my National League pick. And as far as the American League, I got to go with Vlad Jr., bro. I think he's going to have another very, very impressive season. And then we talk about that lineup and the protection he'll have. A lot of people, myself included, have picked the Blue Jays to make a very deep run in the playoffs, and having Vlad Jr. right at the heart of that lineup is going to be the key to everything. And, we've seen what he does, and we've had a small sample size, but I think going into this next season, he's going to continue to solidify himself as an elite baseball player.
Yes, sir. He's one of those Dominican guys, along with Tatis, Juan Soto, that you gotta love to watch. I think he really put his name on the map during the All-Star game last season, winning a MVP. But let's move on to Cy Young. Give me your 2 picks for Cy Young.
My first one out in the American League, I'm gonna go Robbie Ray. Like I said, I'm really high on this Seattle team. And I think Robbie Ray is gonna be key to that. I think last year he had a strikeout percentage of 32% and a walk rate of 6.7%. So, having it that high, that's for those who don't really, look into the advanced, that's extremely good. That's why he won the Cy Young, last season. But I think adding him to that roster will give him an opportunity to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. And, that's something that's actually happened when I looked it up a lot more than I realized. Jacob deGrom did it in 2018 and 2019. You had Max Scherzer do it in 2016 and 2017. Kershaw did it. The list goes on and on. Tim Lincecum, shout out to Tim Lincecum, all the short guys out there.
The freak.
But you have a lot of guys who were able to go back to back. And I think adding Robbie Ray to that lineup, that's going to be a dangerous team out in the West Coast. So from the American League Cy Young, I got Robbie Ray. And for the National League, another loaded team, I'm going to go back to the Dodgers. I'm going to go Walker Buehler. Walker had a hell of a season last year, and let me see, I just had it pulled up. But yeah, he had a strikeout rate of, I don't know what's going on. Let me see. He had a strikeout rate of 26% and a walk rate of 6%. So, Walker Buehler has been an elite pitcher for a few years now. And with that lineup, bro, it's going to be tough. You saw them win 106 games last year. I think they'll be right around that mark again this year when you add a Freddie Freeman. I know they lost Corey Seager, but adding a Freddie Freeman, one of the best left-handed bats in the game, that's going to put them on an elite level. And I think having Walker Buehler taking the bump every 5th day, they're going to be tough to beat. So for the National League, I got to go with Walker Buehler.
Okay. Well, I like those. I've always liked Walker. He's one of the better pitchers in the game. I think he's been the best pitcher in that Dodgers rotation for a long time. Even last year at a point when they had Max, he might have been better than him. But my pick for the National League Cy Young is going to be Max Scherzer. I think he gets to the Mets and he solidifies them as a playoff team. He's going to have an MVP, one of those Max Scherzer seasons we see where his Cy Young numbers have him into the MVP conversation. Age doesn't seem to be a factor with this guy. He's always getting it done. And I do agree that he's polishing his resume up, but we've seen guys like Kershaw fall off, even Verlander a little bit. You've seen him fall off. You haven't seen any fall off out of Mad Max yet. He had a good start yesterday, last night for the Mets, coming off a hamstring injury. So I'm not going to put too much into it. It was some tough weather out there too. So he wasn't going as hard as he could, but he's going to be an interesting guy if he can carry, because he's their ace. And with DeGrom dealing with his shoulder injuries, you don't know how many, who's going to be pitching game 1 for the Mets. When I move on to the American League, I'm going to go with the guy who replaces Robbie Ray on that Toronto Blue Jays team. I'm going to go with Jose Barrios, who he struggled when I saw him yesterday. He played the Rangers, had struggles getting out the early innings, but when he got to Toronto last season after coming from the Twins, I think towards the last, 4 or 5 starts of his last season, he was shut down. 1 run given up, no runs given up, going 7 innings deep. I think he was even an all-star. He's been an all-star a few times. So I think he can finally put it together. He has a lineup that can hit for him. He knows they're going to hit. He's playing in an exciting city. He's a guy who reminds me of that Marcus Stroman type. You get that guy pitching in your home stadium, it's good vibes. It's a lot of energy, especially I got to see with them playing the Rangers. I got to watch Toronto's opening series, man, and it was crazy. Every time they play, it just reminds me of that Jose Bautista bat flip game, because the fans in Toronto were it just feels like everything's on top of you. I think Barrios is going to thrive in that environment.
Yeah, no, I that's a great pick, because I know I went out to a game. I actually was able to see David Price's first game in Toronto. I was at that game. Like you said, the energy in the stadium, and like you said, the way it's set up is really dope. And they're going to feed off a guy like Barrios. And I think that with, like I said, with the success we all expect the Toronto Blue Jays to have, that's definitely a good pick for Cy Young.
Yeah, and we both, me and you at least, both do see them having success. We both have the same pick to win the American League. We're going to roll with the young Toronto Blue Jays, who, as good as they were last year, they didn't make the playoffs. They missed out, but and like you say, they lose Marcus Simeon. They lose Robbie Ray. But I think a guy like Vlad Jr. gets better. We still got to remember George Springer, one of the best leadoff hitters in the game. If he can complete a full healthy season, I think he's going to be for sure an all-star, and he also can get some Silver Slugger Gold Glove nominations. Excuse me, Bichette is big time bat flips, a lot of swag at shortstop. I think if they can get out the AL East, I think with the other teams' bullpens short of lacking, especially in Boston. I know Boston has a great lineup, so I'm not going to say that they have that the Blue Jays have the best lineup in the American League East, but I think that they're deep and their bullpen as well is going to help them get it done. My pick for the National League, and I'll get your pick here in a second, but I'm going to call a team going back-to-back. I think your Atlanta Braves, call me crazy, but I think the Atlanta Braves have a shot to go back just because they reload their roster. You didn't have a World Series team with Ronald Acuna Jr., who's I think is the best out of the young group. You hear people talk about Vlad. You hear him talk about Juan Soto. I think when he's playing, Acuna Jr. is the best. Another year with Ozzie Albies, you add Matt Olson, you get Soroka back. The bullpen's still nice, and I think that they also have shown a willingness to add. And I always think no team is complete. You can always use another bullpen pitcher. You can always use another starter. I think a team like the Braves is going to bring that in and make that move. So I have a Braves Blue Jays World Series. It's going to be wild. I think I would, if you ask me now, I think I would pull for the Braves to win that one. I know it's going to be crazy, but I think a team like that is going to welcome and not fear going into Toronto. But go ahead and give me your World Series pick.
Oh, yeah, like you said, I agree with you on the Blue Jays. From the National League, I got to go with the Dodgers. I think, they really are. It's not just a Freddie Freeman thing. They are a complete team. You lose a Kenley Jansen, and you added Craig Kimbrell. I know Kimbrell struggled last year in an 8th inning role with the White Sox, but he's a 9th inning guy. So you add one of the greatest closers of all time to that team. So you add another strength. So I think that's a team that at the end of the day, they will be the last team standing. We saw the Braves take them out in 6 games this year, but I do believe adding Freddie to that other side is going to make the difference. Like I said, the Blue Jays, I was close on them. I was, on the fence because they, they haven't had that heartbreak yet. Every team gets it when they lose in the first round, or, they have a crushing defeat where they were up 3-2 or something like that. But I really think that team is going to overtake. I think the Blue Jays will beat the White Sox in the ALCS.
Quickly before we go here, let me think of one team you think that is short of us. I know we talked about surprise teams we're looking forward to watching, but a team that you think has a legit shot at the World Series that maybe we're not thinking of.
A legit shot at the World Series that we're not thinking of. I would say the Boston Red Sox.
I like that. I'm gonna go with
the Red Sox are a dangerous team.
That's a deep lineup, and with Story at second base, you're hearing a lot of rumors that it's going to be a lot how Marcus Simeon was when he was over there. Elite defense, elite offense. He could break some records. We'll see if he challenges Simeon for that 45 home run mark. I'm going to go ahead and say the San Francisco Giants. They won 108 games last year. You do lose Chris Bryant, but they reloaded on their pitching staff. They lose Buster Posey, but they have one of the best catching prospects, Bart, coming up, who's on the team. So they're going to be an interesting group to watch. You won't see a team win. I don't think you can see a team win 108 games and go from that to being under 500, especially in Kepler's second year with Bochy just retiring recently. But as we come to wrap up our show, again, I appreciate you guys joining us in. Let me know what you're looking forward to in baseball this week. You'll be at the ballpark. Who are the Braves getting into it with this week?
Oh, yeah, I'll be checking out the Braves playing the Nationals. So, Josh Bell, Juan Soto, that's a really exciting young team. They tore it down right after the World Series, but they still got some nice young pieces. So I'll be looking forward to that. They're giving out the replica rings tomorrow. So, the fans will really be into that. So I think it'll be a lot of energy in the building. It's a night game, too. So. Like I said, I'll get out to the ballpark a few hours early, so I'm really looking forward to that, and that'll be it for out here this week.
Yeah, well, we have a full day tomorrow. Rangers opening day about it's a 3 p.m. first pitch. Taylor Hearn, Dallas, Texas native, gets the ball. Southside the realist is going to be playing first pitch of the new season. It's going to be a packed ballpark against that Colorado Rockies team it's not a lot of name brands that you have on that team, but they play some exciting ball this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Bryant play too. Also this weekend coming to Arlington is one of the teams that you're excited to watch. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. I believe if my math is correct, Ohtani should be on the bump next Saturday or Sunday. And we have the Ohtani rule where he's going to get to bat and pitch, and he gets to come out from pitching.
That's so dope.
Bat the entire time. So we'll see him, Adele, Jared Walsh. It'll be fun to watch the Rangers compete. Those are two teams that people think, oh, well, the Angels should be the playoff team out of the group. They have the two best players. Well, they've struggled to beat the Rangers. And so you got to see, I don't want to say they're fighting like crabs in a barrel to be at the bottom of the bucket, but one of the teams needs to establish themselves as better. But we're going to wrap up this here tonight. Again, thank you guys for joining High and Outside with Malik Wright and Dante Miles. We'll be here every Sunday on Facebook Live. We'll have some clips coming for you during the week. We'll have more special guests from our side, as well as other Black and brown people around baseball. So thank you guys for tuning in.
MLBBro.com, covering Black and brown Major League.